All right, so funding plays for some startups, right? And in this category of your business, you want to rely really heavily on your personal credit. Again, you have to be around a minimum of a 700 credit score. If you haven't already, recommended build up your business, credit, your Duns and Bradstreet, your Experian, your Equifaxes. At that point, it's very, very simple, right? Especially you want to do the corporate compliance section first, where you get your business address, phone number, email, website, low risk industry, your NAICS code. If you have a high risk industry right now, of course, real estate, financial services, anything investments is a hard pass between any lender out there. Change the company, change the name. Make sure that you update the NAICS code from that. And then you want to look at your financials. Okay, what are the area of strengths that you can play with? Either your personal tax returns. There are no-doc programs for startups as well. If you have some cash flow and you can leverage the business bank statements, that's going to be good. But again, you want to look at what are the areas of strength, and then what can I qualify for based upon my current profile right now? What can I get to take the next step of my business? Of course, I'm going to go through this really quickly. Nothing that hasn't been seen on the Rat Show, before. But I guess your personal and business credit cards, your 25 to 150,000 when you include your leverage factor, your 0% cars. Startups are okay, streamlined, no docs. Go from there. Make sure you optimize your credit at 700.
And that's a really easy thing. Go back for a second. That's a really easy thing that people can do by themselves, isn't it, Anthony? This is not something that they really need a funding company for. It's the no doc loans, it's the bank statement loans, it's these things that they really need help with. But getting business credit cards at 0% is really easy, isn't it, Anthony?
Oh yeah, it definitely is. There is an art behind what we do with the credit card stacking. I mean,
Right. Can you kind of talk about credit card stacking a little bit so people understand what that actually looks like and some complexity, what's bullshit and what's real in credit card stacking? Because we have a lot of these gurus out there that don't even know how to read a credit report that's a funding company.
Yeah, it's so true too.
So
Look,
can you kind of talk about the real and the fake with credit card stacking? What's real and what's bullshit out there being regurgitated?
I mean, coming back to the funding plan, right? If you look at, you shouldn't have more than about 4 to 5, inquiries per bureau. And so looking at who are all the lenders that are going to be able to pull on a TransUnion, on Equifax and Experian. And then with the story that you can do, do you want to work with a relationship banker, or do you want to work on online submissions? In my opinion, relationship bankers have a stronger presence to increase your loan amounts and your approvals. And I'm going to show you an example of what I mean by that, a little bit later on. So again, right, do you want speed or do you want amounts? Right, these are all certain things depending on your current circumstance of what you're looking for. The longer game, it's going to take about 1 to 2, 3 weeks sometimes with a relationship banker. And so it depends on that company, and knowing and understanding, hey, which one of these banks are very inquiry sensitive and which ones are a little more relaxed.
The devil's in the details. The devil's are in the details.
So that's a little bit of the art behind what we do on this element. There's a funding order, a sequence. It's like any type of recipe. You want to make sure that you follow the recipe. So if you're going to bake that cake, that it's not going to go ahead and fall and crumble if you do it incorrectly. So no matter what product or loan type that you work with, you better understand the sequences, what the data points are, and going from there.
Let me ask you this too, is, there's rumors in the game, and I know the answer to this, but I'd like you to answer this, that some relationship managers are actually compensated by funding companies or by individuals that do funding to push through applications on the back end. Is that false or is that true? So for example, if somebody has a Chase relationship manager, I know people in the game
enough, again, none of that information is public, right? It's right. You're not legally supposed to get any type of compensation. Again, people are greedy.
What they do.
You slip some things.
What they do. Money talks.
Or a briefcase full of bags. I mean, again, if you understand that, every bank has different tiers, right? Will the banker have an influence on the underwriter, or is it centralized between a different department where the banker is just really a paper pusher? And
let's talk about this.
I actually do know somebody that told me that they are slipping their Chase banker. Funny enough, you
Of
say that.
course. Of course they are. So here's one of the things I want to say. There's a Chase banking relationship manager that I know, good guy out in California. And him and I talked about stuff and how the process works. Basically, all people need to do when it comes to Chase is set up a Chase business checking account and have money in there and be putting deposits in there. And then they go ahead and they take that business checking account and they run, a DocuSign into underwriting, and then underwriting comes back and says what they're approved for, what they're not approved for, and then the banking relationship manager can go back to underwriting and say, hey, can we relook at these different things right here, X, Y, and Z, because this is the case here, and they can kind of frame that story, which you frame to the business relationship manager, which then the business relationship manager brings to underwriting. So guys, you guys can get your own business relationship managers, but it takes time to build these relationships, and it takes time out of your day to go get that, and time is money. So these are 1000% something that you can do yourself. But with that being said, there is power in working with somebody that actually has established relationships to move this thing past the finish line in a shorter amount of time. But that's the bottom line, guys. To be able to get business Chase credit cards, you don't need Anthony Vanaki. You don't need all these other funding companies, guys. You can just literally go open a business Chase account and go meet the relationship manager and start your process, guys. That's it. The underwriting is, there's more there, because when you're dealing with stuff online, you're dealing with more fraud, risk, litigation. So you're dealing with people that are submitting applications online. There's more measures there to be catching fraudulent applications or people putting inaccurate information where you're working with the relationship manager. There's less of that because there's actually a process between humans and not technology. Is that correct, Anthony?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. Okay. Keep rocking, bro. I just wanted to drop that there, guys, because this is honestly, Anthony, what they all focus on. They all run ads to the 0% business Chase cards or the Elon Financial or the US Bank. This is stuff everybody can get themselves, guys, right? If you don't want to do it, that's one thing. If you don't feel like you can get the top limits, that's another thing. But this is something that you can get yourself. Honestly, what business funding, guys, is an agency. Social media marketing agency, credit repair agency, business funding agency. There's nothing wrong with an agency, and there's nothing wrong with people making money for their time. The problem comes is when you overpromise and you underdeliver and you shit the bed and you make people feel like scum and you don't do good business ethics. That's where 90% of agencies suck. Bro, it's a very, if you were both being honest here, it's a very shady business that you're in. It's a very shady, greed-filled business where people only care about numbers and they hide behind this blanket of integrity when nothing's integral about them whatsoever.
Yeah, and a little bit later on, I'm going to share with you guys how to craft a story for the banker. I'll give you some examples that you can then replicate for yourselves. All right, so unsecured personal loans. Essentially, in every loan over here can be 25 to 250,000. Your 7 years, 8% and above. Right, very very common. You guys understand the personal, but I love actually helping clients and startups, because if we've exhausted everything on the business side, then we can't get more. But if you need that extra 100,000, 50,000, then a personal loan might be the route to go for that. Streamlined business startup loans, where I've actually been seeing a lot of trend recently here that some of these major and regional banks are opening up their doors for startups, anywhere from $25,000 to $50,000 on a BLOC.
Nice.
A lot of them will be reviewing your personal income. Some are basing on the strength of your personal credit. And of course, you get your $25,000 to $30,000, $50,000 business line of credit, and then you can add another credit card in addition. So it could be another 20, 25,000. Of course, the strength of your personal credit is going to really judge from the bank of your character and what that looks like.
Nice.
So looking at your business cash flow, major banks will look about 10% of your annual gross sales. So if you have your 3 months, you're doing 25,000 a month. You do that times that by 3 is 300,000 projected of your annual gross. It's going to be about a $30,000 loan amount from that. Take that, go to 2, 3, 4, 5 different banks. There you go. There's a good $150,000 you can get from there. All right, so startup lending options. I'm not sure if have you guys ever heard of the Rob's plan? for any type of tapping into your retirement and IRAs and 401ks by any chance. So essentially very similar to like a self-directed, where if you have your retirement account and you're able to, create a C corp, put that into a company, and then essentially with the whole structure of it, you can use your retirement plan tax-free to start and jumpstart your business here. This is actually very, very popular in the franchise world, as I was working very heavily with the franchisors, becoming their funding department in my previous years. So very popular. If you haven't already, if you don't want to be paying taxes on it, this might be a good plan. Or self-directed, if you want to invest in your real estate or different assets or in different companies, self-directed could be a great decision there as well.